Alrighty. So, one meme slash conversation that has been going around the internet for a while now is women, whether they're thoughts or queens, right? And this shows two different conceptualizations of women. One of the queen that is lifted up higher than the average person, that they are raised up and exalted, revered. Whereas this thought, the word thought is an acronym for that hoe over there. Meaning not only is she a hoe, right? Whore, slut, maybe even prostitute, right? Hey, it ties into the theme of prostitute week after all. So, not only is she sexually promiscuous, maybe even sells it like cheap, but also you don't even give her the privilege of being identified as that. She's just that hoe over there, right? She doesn't have any identity or personality or importance. She's just that over there. That one, right? And that is just so belittling. And so it's either this completely belittled whore or this queen that is pristine, illustrious, fantastic. And there's this difference, right? Which one are women? And obviously the answer is neither, somewhere in between, right? But I don't know if it is that obvious. I think that it is a little bit more of a conversation than that. You see, both are defined by their relationship to other people. You see, the queen is only a queen because people say she is. Most queens throughout history were only queen because they married the king, right? That is pretty much what being a queen means, is you're married to the king. Now, obviously, there's the different places where the queen's the queen, whether or not they have a king. Yeah, that happened in history too. Not to the same extent. Not anywhere near the same extent. Men were mostly the rulers. And you can call that patriarchal or whatever, but that's just a historical fact. And so queen, this lifted up person, is lifted up because some great man did that. Some great man took her and lifted her up. The queen is not a queen without the king. And in the same way, the thought is not a thought unless there is someone objectifying her, right? Because the things that make a thought are the way she acts in relation to her self-worth, right? When a woman is, scantily dressed, you might call her a thought. When she's like, oh, reveal a little bit of cleavage. Oh, man, I have a short skirt. Let me just move in a certain way that just shows it off. Like, that's thoughty behavior. But it's only a thoughty behavior if someone's there to witness it. If a woman is completely naked, but in her own bedroom with no one else there, nothing wrong with that. That's not a whore. But if she puts on a few clothes, very, very few, Still not a whore. It's when she leaves the house like that that makes her look like a whore. Look like that hoe over there, right? It is the presence of judgment on her that makes her a thought. Because, in the privacy of your own home, you can wear and do whatever you want and no one really cares. It's when you present yourself in public that way, where you say, not only do I like to do this in my own home, but this is my public persona. This is my identity. This is who I am. Look at me and identify me as that hoe over there. And so, both are defined by their relationship with others. Because their choices said something about them. Who they chose to associate with said something about them. And here's something else. The same woman could make choices in her life to land her in either area. If a woman decided to be chaste and respectful, and, enough so that a king was interested and married her, well, then she would be a queen, even if she wasn't before. And in the same way, she could take the opposite road and cheapen herself and say, no, I'm just going to give myself to whoever comes along. I'm going to flaunt what I have to every passerby. And then, even if she doesn't sleep with them, she's perceived as just that hoe over there. And that's fundamentally what this is that you're only a queen if you have a king. If you have a man protecting you. This is why we call little girls princess. Is not because they are so high and mighty and so great. They're a little girl. Who cares? Who cares what they have to say or what they think, right? No one's stopping to ask the little 6-year-old girl what she has to say about the world. No one cares. But she's called princess precisely because it doesn't matter what value she brings into the world. What matters is her dad. He's kingly. And so he raises her up and makes her valuable and shows to the world, this is a person of worth. And if you think different, then I'm going to make you think that way. It's that protective instinct that men have. That's what makes little girls princesses and makes married women queens. Is that protective instinct, that love and compassion. That's what does it. And when you say some woman is just that hoe over there, you are saying that she has none of that. She doesn't have someone to protect her or lift her up. No one to respect her, and so she's not worthy of respect. But here's the thing. Being in a relationship with someone who does raise you up and lifts you higher, it's not enough. Because throughout history there have been kings and there have been queens. And do you know what happens when that king loses? Maybe even is killed. Well, that queen probably gets raped by maybe the opposing king, maybe even the opposing king's army. And that is to take someone who is raised up and tear her down, so that that way she too is just that hoe over there. She's just meaningless now, and no one cares about her. And that's the thing. It's not enough just to have someone raise you up. You have to have someone actually protect you. Someone who actually can protect you. And this is why even women who are in committed relationships, they can still be seen as that hoe over there, because guess what? Maybe you look like a queen to your spouse, but no one else cares. No one else sees you that way. To everyone else, you are just that hoe over there. And so, this is fundamentally the point. And this is how it ties into Prostitution Week as a whole. Women in society are defined by how they are perceived, right? I mean, that's true of everyone all the time. You put a definition on me based on what I say and how I look and how I act. And so maybe that judgment's good and maybe it's not. It's up to you to decide. And in the same way, women get judged based on the observer. And the observer might see a queen, or they might see a thought. But the truth of the matter is, every single person in the world, whether you think they're doing good stuff or bad stuff, or whether you think they're a good person or bad person, worthwhile or not, Christianity tells us every single person is a child of God. And so, understand this. That means every single woman is a queen. Every single woman is raised up by God. But that doesn't mean she's not a thought. You see, just because you're married to the king doesn't mean you can't lose favor. It doesn't mean that you can't be seen as worthless. Because it's your actions that make you look like a thought. And so every little girl is a princess destined to grow into a queen. And a lot of women throw that away. A lot of women say, instead of doing that, instead of, living up to my potential, instead of being this great benefit to the world, that I was lifted up higher by the people who loved me, and so now as queen it is my job to do the same to others, to raise other people up and make them feel good about themselves, to make them be the best that they can be. That's the job of a queen. That's the responsibility of a queen. But you might not want to do that. Maybe instead you just want to sleep around. Maybe instead you just want people to look at you and how pretty you are and how good you look. So that way you feel validated. That's how a thought thinks. And so the real difference here is how you act. Do you act selflessly, trying to build up others? Then you're a queen. Do you act selfishly, trying to build up yourself even at the expense of others? Then you're a thought. And that's how simple as it is. Is that in theory, every woman would be a queen. Everyone has the chance to act like royalty. But a lot don't take that chance. And this ties into what I've said before. The whole thing about prostitution is selling who you are. And that is precisely what the thought does. Even if she's not selling her sex for money, right? Even if she's not doing that. What she's doing is she's selling her self-worth, her esteem, for attention. She wants attention more than she wants self-respect. And so, that's what she does. She sells away her social value for some short-term attention gains. And it's very tempting when you don't feel valued, when you don't feel like a queen, to say, well, at least I want some attention. At least I want someone to care about me, even if it's just for a moment. Especially since women have such an easy time getting attention. You take off your shirt and then all of a sudden, all the heads turn towards you. That must feel pretty good. But remember, as soon as you put your shirt on, all those heads turn away. Precisely because they don't care about you. And in fact, when you dress scantily and you belittle your own self-worth, you're not only showing yourself how little people care about you, you are ruining the chance that they could ever care about you. Because no one wants their queen to be a thought. People want to marry someone with high value. And that starts with how you act. With being high value because you value yourself. You have self-worth. And that's what this whole divide is about. Is that if you act like a queen, maybe people won't really treat you like a queen, but they won't treat you like a thought. If you act like a thought, well, yeah. There's going to be some people who still just cozy up to you and they're like, oh man, no, you're not a thought. You're a queen. You're just a queen that I think that I probably could have sex with because you have such low standards. You know, the simps, right? The men who just want a piece of the action and are willing to go great distances to make that happen. And that's the thing. When the simp pays you money, they are saying, this woman is acting like a prostitute. So, maybe if I give her money, she'll put out, yeah? And that's the thing. Is queens don't get simps. Queens get kings.